Hi, my name is Ingi, and I'm going to show you how to build an app in Plang. This tutorial kind of assumes that you installed Plang and have the IDE set up. This is going to be a really quick overview, going fast through everything. I'm not going to explain too much in detail. There will be another video where I explain actually in detail what is happening. So what we'll cover is database tables, start a web server, goals, variables, date and time, handle web request, validation, error handling, insert into database, respond to web request, and testing. So we start by creating a project directory. I already created a folder called Todo, and the first file I'm going to create is the setup goal. Setup goal where we are going to create the table. Anything in setup is actually just going to run one time in a lifetime of the application. But after we set this up, we need to execute it to create that table. So here we are building the code and executing it. And you can see there's a build folder here and a DB folder here, and you can see the Todo's table with the columns that we just created. So excellent. Next, we want to create the start goal page. Start goal, and that's where we want to start the web server. You can set some port number if you like, but it's not necessary. It's default on 8080, so let's keep it at that. Default when you start a web server, default public path is the API folder. Let's create that, and we create a new task goal in the API folder. Like this, and let's copy this text. So we're just making sure that the data from the user is not empty, and then we want to insert into database and write out the ID that is created. Next, we want to create a list goal, which then list out all our tasks. And we select everything from the to-dos table and write it into the variable to-dos and write out the to-dos. Now we can actually build and execute the code. So let's do that. And it builds the code and then starts the web server. Okay, so next step is to create the test. So you can use your favorite REST client for this, or you can build Plang code. So I'm just going to do that. Test new task goal. Let's paste it in here. We're just posting to this message. The task is to do some homework, and that's the deadline is in now plus 2 days. Okay, and we can then execute that. We also have here a test list, so let's do that also. Test list to retrieve all the goals, all the tasks that we have in the system. So since this terminal is running already, we need to create a new one. Let's build that. Okay, that's built, and then we can run and create a new task. You can see we get the ID. You can also retrieve the task. And we can see it like this. So what we've done now is kind of gone through this tutorial. We've checked all the boxes that I mentioned in the beginning. Next step is we want to add an LLM into the application. Now what we'll learn here, or what we want to do is actually categorize the task without us actually selecting anything, have to do any work. We're just going to send it to the LLM. So we're going to learn how to modify the database, use LLM, run and forget, and update the database record. So we'll start by updating the setup goal. Let's go into the setup goal and add this column category. So let's get the web server and execute the setup to create this column actually in the database. Okay, and then we're gonna, in the new task, we're gonna modify that a little bit. We're gonna call this categorize goal. So new task. After we insert it, we're gonna call categorize, and we're not gonna wait for the response because it's gonna take a couple of seconds to happen. And this is the goal where we do the LLM, and this is the system command. This is the text from the user, and we want the result to be a category and a string, and we can then access that variable immediately and update it. So let's build that, and we can run that. Okay, and now we can modify our test. We're going to buy some Legos. Let's do that. New test, some Lego. And since this one is busy, we're going to have to do this. New terminal, build it, and we can now run the test, new task. And let's see it actually here. So this is our first task that we created, doesn't have any category, but we want to buy the Lego, and that's obviously a hobby. So now we've added LMM into our application. Next step is the identity. So identity is actually something that replaces username and passwords. So we're going to go through that. Let's start by adding identity to the to-dos column. This allows you to kind of customize for each user your application, just like username and password do. So we added the column, need to run the setup. Let's go here, kill this, setup. Okay, so now we have that column in the database. Now it's important to run this because we want to have all the information when we build the other steps. Next step is to create events folder. We want to validate that the identity is not empty. So create events folder, and in there we have events goal, and we say before each goal, on API, check identity. So let's create that identity goal, check identity goal, and if identity is empty, we just show some error. You're not signed in, or we need to sign the request. Next, we want to update the new task. So the only thing we can do here is actually add the identity. So that's like this. And on the select, we want to select where we only choose by the identity. Okay, so we can now build the code, and we can run it. So now we are ready. Next is, so if you've been using your favorite REST client, you need to do this now in Plang, because your REST client doesn't have any identity. So let's do this, update this, do some grocery shopping, and we need to build that, and we can then run that. And see this, and now that we run test list, we should only get one row, not the three rows that we added, because this one is now assigned to this identity. So you have this user experience. So now we've kind of covered the identity part of the language. What I want to show you now is how you would create a window app in Plang. This is very alpha, early stage thing, but it's I want to show you the possibilities. So let's change the start. So we're not starting a web server, we're going to start a window app. Start a window app, and we're going to call to-dos when we open up that. So create a UI folder, UI folder, and it's going to be to-dos goal. Okay, to-dos goal, and let's paste that in. We are selecting everything from the table. Then we're just describing what we want. We want a button with add tasks. We want a table to-dos, and this is how it should look. We want the task goal, and that's gonna be form with inputs with a button, and we want to show the to-dos. Now we can run the app. There is a little bit of difference, so let's actually go back here. We don't need a web server anymore because it's no longer a web server. Let's build this. Okay, and we run it, and you see there's a little bit of difference, but it's plang.w instead of just plang. Let's execute that, and it's gonna load up, and it's gonna show us our tasks. Now we didn't filter by identity here, so we see all the 3 tasks here. Now we want to add a task, we get that here, and we can write in the tasks data and such. So this is very early alpha. So yeah, that's about it for now. Next step is going to take a little bit longer here because it allows you to kind of rethink how we make apps. Right now, the users really have to adapt to how we programmers design our apps. Let's say an example with this task list or this to-do app, we have to fill into the input, and we have to fill into the due date. So if you think really about how we would do a to-do list, is we would just write it on a paper, and just each item in a list, and we just mark it, for tomorrow, or do it next week and such. That's kind of how we want to make computers behave. We want to let them adapt to us and not us to them. So let's do this. So we want to create a folder and a file in the API. We want to create a folder LMM. So in the API, I'm going to create here LMM. This is just for structure. And we create system.txt. So this is the system command for the LMM. And let's copy this. This is just a description that I have. I tell you here what the current date is. And let's create a new goal, new LMM task. Okay, in the API folder. Let's copy this. So you see it's completely different from the other one. So we start by reading the file, the system.txt, into the system variable. And we tell it to load the variables because we have here a variable. This is date time basically. Then we into the LMM request, we load the system variable and then the task that the user did, and we define the schema we want. So we want the task, we want the due date, we want the subcategory, and we want that into our task list. And then we go through the task list and we call save task, and then we are basically just inserting into the database. Okay, so let's test this out. So test new LMM tasks. Test new LMM task. Let's paste that in here, and as you can see here, I'm just kind of like I would do with pen and paper. I'm just writing each line: toothbrush and toothpaste, or new oil for the car. That's for tomorrow. Buy milk. Talk with the boss about salary, but 2 days before end of the month. Solve the credit card payment in system, and the due date should be in 7 days. Here we just say timeout 2 minutes because it can be some time for the LMM to return results, and then we write the results here. So let's build that. We actually need to change back here. We don't want the window app, we want to do a web server. Let's build. So now you can see every time we've been building, it's been very quick. Here we saw actually a request being done to the LMM and how much it cost us. So this is because this query wasn't cached. So if you've done a query before it's cached, it doesn't have to do that again. So now we have this up and running, and we can now do test new LMM task. We can run that. We might have to start the web server also. Let's do that. So I have the web server running, and we have to do the new unknown task. So let's run that. And we have everything. Now if you want to get the list, we can actually see our old do some grocery. That is what we did first on this identity. Then we said buy toothbrush, and the due date is in 2 days because we defined in the settings system that the default values default is 2 days from now. Okay, so and then but for example buy new oil for the car, that's tomorrow, so we have the due date tomorrow. Talk with the boss 2 days before end of month. We have that here. Payment system, it's in 1 week. So this is how we can approach developing apps a little bit differently than we have been doing before. This is going to be extremely interesting when we have LMMs returning much quicker results. Thank you very much for watching this. Again, you have more detailed video where I go into each step, I explain how things work in the comments. Come and join us on Discord and in our forum on GitHub. Thanks.